back to another episode of Mathew's Hot Kitchen, where you never know what we're going to cook up.
What are you cooking today?
Well, we're going to cook something that might be important this time, in time of crisis with the coronavirus. We're going to be cooking elderberry syrup. Now, elderberry syrup for centuries has been known as an antiviral type of, I don't want to say medicine, but people take it to get over flu and cold. And there's been a lot of anecdotal evidence showing that it does help in that. Just recently, last 10, 20 years, there's been some scientific studies done on this. There's been at least 3 or 4 double-blind studies done in various countries that have, double-blind means your control group. You have a control group. You have the people taking the medicine. They don't know if it's true or not, if they're taking placebo or not. And then the people administering it to them don't know what's true, what's not. So those have come back with some pretty impressive efficiency or efficacy numbers in the 90% range. So that sounds impressive. However, before it's widely accepted, it has to have larger size trials in the thousands of people. And that's kind of hard to arrange, but who knows? Maybe it's 2020, so maybe we might run a trial on this. But nonetheless, it does taste good. It does has some interesting inflammatory ingredients I'm going to show you too, and there might be something to this. But then again, the medical community and maybe some of the authorities will still consider this a bit of a snake oil. But I take it. I've given it to my wife, and we haven't caught cold or flu the last couple of years. So while we were taking it, so maybe there's something here, maybe not. But anyway, it's fun to make. It makes the house smell good,
and it's much cheaper to make it.
Yeah, you can buy this in the drugstore.
Small
bottles.
$30.
It's starting to get expensive now. Fortunately, there are a source of berries. Online you can buy. In fact, right here, these are the berries you buy in these bags, and they come dried. The berries are called Sambucus nigra, and most of them are harvested in Europe, Bulgaria, places like that. Elderberry is a bush that grows in the wild. We have them out here in California. But we don't harvest them out here. I think the harvesting is done mostly in Europe. But anyway, you can get these pretty much anywhere. And a bag of these can make maybe 3 or 4 batches of elderberry syrup. So anyway, so let's get started.
Okay.
Okay. So first thing is these are the elderberries. This is about a cup here of elderberry.
It looks a little bit like a black pepper-ish.
Yeah, it looks like black pepper. Okay, very important. I need to say a few things first. This is pretty safe stuff, elderberry. It's there's really not much downside. But when we're done with this, there'll be a couple of restrictions. One, you can't be less than 1 year old because we're going to put raw honey as a sweetener into it. And so raw honey will make this such that you can't, if you're 1 year old or younger, you can't have it. And if you're pregnant, you can't have it. So those are the 2 downsides. The other caution is if you eat these, you'll go to the emergency room because they contain cyanide.
Oh my gosh!
So the way to get rid of it is you have to cook it for at least 30 minutes, boil it. And that's easy to do. After that, it's perfectly safe. Don't get too scared about cyanide. I'm not sure if it's enough to kill you, but it will sure make your day not so good if you eat these raw without cooking. So we cook them to get rid of to make them safe. Okay, so
what are the other ingredients?
Okay, the other ingredients is ginger. You can get organic ginger, regular ginger, doesn't matter. You can probably get away with ginger powder, but I like using the root because
It's more potent.
it's more potent. And by the way, ginger is also another nice thing to have. It's anti-inflammatory and
Antioxidants.
all those good things, and maybe in itself they used to treat cold and flu in other cultures. Water, of course, I use nice filtered water. We're going to be using a half teaspoon of ground cloves. You can see here, ground cloves. You can use whole cloves if you want, a few of those. Another one is ground cinnamon. A teaspoon of ground cinnamon. You can use cinnamon stick if you want. And getting back to the honey, I like using raw honey if you can get it. If you cannot get it, just use regular honey, whatever you have. And this comes later at the end when we, but first we're going to have to cook. We're going to have to cook a mixture of the elderberries, the ginger, and mix the spices together with the water. But the only thing we don't have prepped is the ginger. So let's get the cutting board here. Since we're going to be cooking this at high temperature, I'm not going to get go overboard on cleaning everything. You can, if you want, you can even skin the ginger if you want, but I don't think it's necessary.
Especially with the organic ginger, actually good stuff. There are lots of good stuff around it to peel, skin. So you might want to use the peel.
So what we're trying to achieve here on the ginger is kind of a medium chop. We're going to try to chop it up, dice it up nicely so that we get about maybe a 3/4 cup, half cup, maybe a full cup. I don't know. I just play it by ear. As much ginger as you want. The ginger gives it a nice zing in the flavor, and it's really nice. The syrup is actually very, very, very tasty to take. I look forward once a day during cold and flu season. Take my little tablespoon, a little shot glass of syrup.
Yeah, it's something nice to have in the refrigerator constantly.
Yeah. And this will keep in the refrigerator for a month or two. And let's go ahead and do the other one.
You want me to wrap it up for you?
Yeah, I'm enjoying.
Okay.
We're almost there.
It's okay. Get rid of this one.
Okay. I'm going to use my nice Japanese knife, which we've never sharpened in 18 years, 17 years. We've never sharpened it. And actually just honed it down nicely between uses. They do know what they're doing in Japan when they're making cutlery like this. Okay. This is about the chop you need. Again, just to dice it to get the aromatics and chemicals out of it. And let's get a pan here. We'll start putting the ginger in there. Ginger smells great. Yeah, go ahead. Elderberries, this is about a cup. Sometimes you'll find a few little stems in there. You can get rid of those if you want, or keep them in there. Doesn't matter. We're going to be straining this later anyway, so the ginger, the skin doesn't matter. And then 3 cups of water. Okay. to bring this to a boil. Okay, thank you. Mix that in nice. Oh, then let's put our half teaspoon of cloves. And then 1 teaspoon ground cinnamon. The cloves are ground also. You can use whole ingredients if you want, but the ground stuff makes it a lot easier. So what we're trying to do is, what we're doing is we're going to bring this to a boil, and then we're going to let it simmer uncovered for about at least 30 minutes, and have it cook down about halfway, maybe a little bit more than halfway. So let's bring it to a boil first.
It makes whole room with the filled with the aroma, very nice aroma of cinnamon and ginger. And
whole house, in fact, will smell very nice.
It's nice.
So I don't like making too much of this because it does get a little moldy in the refrigerator after a few months. So you want to make it fresh every few months. You could double the honey in this, so you kind of have flavored honey in the end, and that'll preserve it. Or you can add vodka.
So honey goes at the very last.
Yeah, that goes to the very last. This is uncooked honey, so it has its own medicinal properties. Uncooked honey, which have been used for a long time.
But it's okay to have a regular honey as well.
You could, if you can't find. It's no magic to have raw honey. It's just an extra little step I take to include all the good stuff in it that we can. If you pasteurize the honey, you're cooking it. Maybe you're changing it in a not so positive way. Anyways.
So just let it sit for a while. No, I mean.
We're going to bring it to a boil, and then we're going to let it simmer for at least 30 minutes, uncovered, and cook away the cyanide gas, which is no good for you or me or anybody.
But evaporation from the cooking, it's okay, it's safe?
I've never gotten sick.
That would be bad.
No, I think it is small amounts. I think it's in the seeds.
Okay.
So that's it's small, but if you eat it, it's probably people have gotten big tummy aches off of it. Especially there have been some stories about outdoor naturalists eating everything raw, and then it's all good, these things, until you get the elderberries, and they wound up in the emergency room eating lots of raw elderberries. So I don't want to make too big a deal of that, but just be aware, that's why we cook it. And you smell the ginger, cinnamon, the cloves. Just makes the whole place smell nice. By the way, I give credit to my brother, who's a physician, a doctor. He pointed this out to me once, and I did my own little research a few years ago, and I've been pretty happy with it. So just about ready to boil. Boiling around the edge here. Some recipes call for soaking the berries initially before you cook them, but I haven't had any problems putting dried berries in and just immediately and boiling them. They hydrate up pretty fast. Again, I like making this at the beginning of the cold and flu season in the late fall. The other thing you should know about this, there's been research on this. It acts as both a preventative and also once you have the cold or flu, it'll cut back the symptoms by a factor of 2. So instead of having a flu for 6 days or 7 days, you maybe only have symptoms 3 or 4 days.
But we have to mention also that there's no research around coronavirus and this elderberry syrup, not whatsoever. So we're just talking in general.
In general.
Yeah.
The other thing is the research that has been done on this is they believe the mechanism around this involves getting the virus from, preventing it from attacking healthy cells. So breaking down its ability to replicate in your body. Mm-hmm. So that's where they think the mechanism is. There's some proteins. There's been some pretty fancy research into this, which I won't go into, that you can look at it. But people are spending money to try to understand how this works with the proteins and the body's immune system, how it stimulates it to combat the virus. So there's I don't think it's all snake oil. I think there's probably something to it that we just don't quite understand yet. It's kind of like a little bit like chicken soup, They say, well, there's no scientific research; it's all anecdotal. But everyone's been using chicken soup when you catch a cold.
Also, like a Chinese acupuncture, we don't know why and how it works, but it does work for many people. So just like that, there's so many things like that. And this one is relatively safe, as far as we cook it over 30 minutes.
Yeah, okay, so now it's boiled. I've turned it down to simmer. So we will let this simmer. And let's set the clock for 30 minutes.
All right.
And we will be back. We'll be back in a little bit after this is simmered. And then we're going to strain it and let it cool. And then mix it with honey at the end. So see you in 30. Hi, welcome back. We have just gone past 30 minutes. Let me shut off the burner, and we had to move it up from simmer about halfway in to get it bubble a little bit more, and we put it on low part of the time. But anyway, you can see how that is. It's been reduced by approximately halfway. About half is burned off, and it's really made a very strongly concentrated mass. Now we're going to have to strain this. So I'm going to get the strainer kind of like this. And I like to use a pot in the end so that you have a lot of support here. And what we're going to do is put this in the strainer and let it get all of that in there and all those goodies in there. Okay. My assistant, Kamiko. So I like to push it through the sieve, and it doesn't have to be pure or anything. You can have a lot of particles in it. That's kind of okay. It kind of makes it taste better. But we want to get the ginger pressed a little bit. We want to press the berries. And let me get a little bit more aggressive pusher. A nice wooden spatula. There we go. Now it's starting to really come out. Boy, 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 the house smells great right now. Woo! At times it smells like we're making some sort of berry pie. But you got that little hint, with the cinnamon also in there, and the cloves, and
Ginger.
oh yeah, the ginger gives it a nice. These things all go well together. So, I mean, so what if it doesn't have any medicinal effects? Maybe it at least smells good and tastes good. So,
Yeah.
and there's no alcohol in it. Well, yeah, you can always add it if you want.
It's great with the club soda. You dilute it with this club soda.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Let me give this a little.
Should I hold it?
Yeah, maybe. I just want to hurry things along here. Actually, you do have to have some force. You can get one of those conical funnels and a wedge in there that probably work a little bit faster, but
How about like a cheesecloth and just
you could probably do that. Although,
too hot?
yeah, it's too hot to handle. You have to wait for it to cool. Anyway, for the sake of time, we're gonna maybe cut this a little bit short. And when you're done, okay, so let's move that up. Okay, and you see the syrup here. It's hot, so it's still kind of runny, but it's got some little particles on the bottom, which is fine. It's fine if it's got some particles on the bottom. Don't throw this away.
Oh, no, I'm not throwing away.
Yeah, because what you can do with this, you can get creative here with with what remains. You can flavor something with that. You can maybe put vodka in it, maybe club soda, and let it steep in it a bit. So I wouldn't give up on these. I haven't experimented with it, but I've heard other people try to experiment with the leftovers to go flavor other things with it.
Make tea out of it?
You could probably make a nice tea out of it. But anyway, so I wouldn't throw these away so soon. Get creative, especially in these times of home isolation or home lockdown. Maybe maybe you can experiment with this. So I leave it up to people, but I just want to make that aware. And yeah, don't throw this out. It's good stuff. So okay, so what I like to do is I like to maybe it's be easier to show over here. Is just pour this off. What are we at? 2 cups?
Cup and a half.
Oh, cup and a half. Perfect. It's a perfect reduction of 50%. And we want this to be relatively cool, so the honey doesn't get too hot. And get the spatula. So again, this is honey. I found some nice orange blossom honey, which is uncooked, grade A fancy, 100% pure natural. If you don't have this, just use normal honey. Again, we're just trying to capture all the potential health benefits of raw honey, which people have written about. The honey is really to make the syrup taste better. Right now, it's not sweet at all. It's just a kind of a spicy wine, but it's not alcohol mixture. But the honey will sweeten it up and create a little syrup out of it that really tastes really is good on your throat. So if you have a sore throat or something, believe me, this helps a lot. So okay, so we need about a cup of honey.
Oh.
So
This is not.
No, a cup of honey. So it's good to put in a measure like this. Then you can kind of you can measure it. So what are we? A cup and a half. So we need to go up to 2.5, just shy of 2.5. No. I can do it this way. Just go up to just shy of 2.5 cups. Now look at that honey. Don't get anything expensive honey. This honey should only cost $6, $7, $8. You don't need anything really terribly fancy. In fact, the simple honeys, these raw and cooked honeys, are actually some of the cheaper things. Okay, so let's just go ahead and mix that up. Again, you don't want the liquid too hot because you want to keep the honey uncooked. But I felt the side of it, and it was just a little on the warm side, which is fine. As long as it's not hot to the touch, it should be fine. And it's kind of mixing in nicely. It's thickening. It's not so runny anymore. And when this does fully cool down, it'll be about half the viscosity of the honey. And like I said, if you want to preserve it for a long time, if you don't want to take up room in your refrigerator, you could you could add another cup of honey into it, and then it will keep without refrigeration. So like if you go on a trip or something, and you want to have it available in your with your things you take with you, you can always double the honey. Then again, you always add vodka. Okay, I think we may need a little bit more. Oh, we'll see. Okay, and then I put it in these little mason jars. These are for jam and jellies. Kind of yielded a little bit more than I normally yield. This time. Anyway, you get the idea. And let's have some for tasting. We're going to taste this. And
how much do you normally take?
Well, good question. During cold and flu season, I like to take a tablespoon a day, morning or evening. If I'm around people with cold and flu, I go 3 times a day.
Oh.
Maybe not a tablespoon, then I'll back it off to maybe 2 teaspoons, 3 or 4 times a day. If I feel like I'm getting sick, I'll increase it. And like I said, I haven't really had any cold or flu since I started doing this. Okay, cheers.
Cheers. It's good.
Oh, it's just good to have. It's good to...
There's some spiciness, zing from the ginger.
Right. And it really coats your mouth. It coats the throat very nicely with the honey. And the spices give it a bit of a zing. Mm-hmm. And, of course, you've got the elderberries. And it tastes like a very rich berry type syrup drink. So if you like cough medicine, some of the cough medicines, the fruity thing, well, if you like that, then this is good for you, better than to have the alcohol in it.
And if it's too sweet, it's okay to dilute it with water or club soda.
In fact, when I'm done, it's hard to get the bottom off because it coats everything so well. So I usually just pour some water in it and drink it. But then again, I don't want to wash down my whole throat. I like it sitting on my in my throat nicely.
Right. Very good.
Anyway, so this will conclude. Again, we'll put the lids on these. We'll put them in the refrigerator. It'll thicken up a little bit more. But anyway, so yield is about 2.5 cups. There's 2 right there. We got another half cup in the
okay.
container. Mm-hmm. We'll probably wind up drinking that after this. that we don't have in the jar. So this concludes another episode of Mathew's Hot Kitchen, and where you never know what we're cooking up. Thank you.